Good morning, my dear students. So again we are here for our next history class, and the chapter which I am going to do today is the same chapter which we did in the previous class, that is chapter number 8, Peace Settlement after the First World War. So in the previous class we did about the peacemaking process after the First World War and how now the Central Powers and the Allied Powers, they wanted to come together and sign a peace treaty. Okay, and Germany also surrendered, and here the US President Wilson, he came up with the 14 points program where he said that they will be in Europe. Now it's going to be one state here, one state, one nation. Okay, so all the European countries is going to be like one state and one nation. And here Germany along with the other Central Powers, they signed a peace treaty in the Paris Peace Conference, which is also known as the Treaty of Versailles, okay, in the year 1919. Okay, and in this treaty, in the 14 points, it was mentioned that Germany will not be partitioned, Germany will not be humiliated, Germany will not have to pay reparation. Okay, that is, reparation means the compensation, let's say the money or whatever was lost during the war, Germany had to pay to the other countries. So nowhere it was mentioned that Germany will be paying reparation, and President Wilson, he mentioned that this treaty is going to be a totally justice, okay, for the Central Powers. Then in the Paris Peace Conference, or the Treaty of Versailles, what happened? There were three leaders, or let's say the three powers, like England, okay, the Prime Minister of England, that is Lloyd George. Then from France it was Clemenceau, and from US President Wilson. These three leaders played a very important part in this peacemaking process, or let's say in this Paris Peace Conference. Okay, so in this Paris Peace Conference, Germany finally surrendered, and there were peace treaty which was signed between the Central Powers and the Allied Powers. Okay, in 1919, and this peace conference, this Paris Peace Conference, was also known as the Treaty of Versailles. Why? Because it was signed in a place called Versailles. That's why it is known as the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, clear? Now we move on to the next topic. So today we are going to do the Treaty of Versailles and its terms. Now if you have your books, please look into your books, or else please listen carefully. The peacemakers at Paris was in a difficult position to settle the peace terms with Germany. So these peacemakers, okay, at Paris, those who wanted to sign this peace, let's say the three powers, okay, Britain, okay, England, France, okay, and USA. They were in a difficult position to settle these terms of this peacemaking process with Germany. So far, Lloyd George, the Prime Minister of Britain, was concerned. He felt satisfied that German sea power was destined to go to the bottom of the sea, and British colonies were now safe from German attack. So Lloyd George, he was little satisfied because he now believed that the British colonies, they will be safe from the Germans' attack after signing this peace treaty. Okay, so all the British colonies will be safe from the British attack towards the sea. But France apprehended, but what France believed, that in no time Germany would re-attack France for the fourth time, because Germany attacked France 3 times. And now again what France believed, that Germany again might attack France for the 4th time. Okay, Britain was satisfied because Britain now believed that Germany is not going to attack the colonies of Britain. On the other side, France feared that again Germany might attack France. Keeping this point in view, Clemenceau, the leader of France, he wanted imposition of harsh terms on Germany, but Clemenceau, okay, from France, he wanted to impose a very strict, let's say a harsh terms of the treaty towards Germany. Ultimately, a compromise between French security, American idealism, and British pragmatism, now it led to drafting the Treaty of Versailles with Germany. Okay, so finally, with all this thinking, finally Britain, France, and USA, all the three leaders, finally they drafted this Treaty of Versailles with Germany. Now we come to the terms. What were the terms of the treaty? The first point, territorially, Germany must surrender the following places on her frontier to her neighbors. So, Germany, according to the treaty, in the treaty it was written that the territories of Germany now, or let's say the frontier, the border of Germany should be now surrendered. So, territorial Germany must surrender the following places on her frontier to the neighbors. That means Germany, the frontier, okay, the border region of Germany, it should be surrendered to the neighboring states or neighboring countries. On the western front, Alsace and Lorraine were to be returned by Germany to France for historical justice. So again, these two territories or these two regions of Alsace and Lorraine, okay, this region from Germany were to be returned back to France. Okay, because this, during the war, what had happened during the First World War, this region was conquered by Germany from France. And now these two regions, Alsace and Lorraine, were to be returned back to France. The Saar Valley, the coal district were to be administered. Administered means to look after by the League of Nations at present for 15 years. So this region, the Saar region, the coal district of Germany, now were to be looked after. Now it will be totally under the control of the League of Nations for how many years? For 15 years. So Germany will not have any control over this region. Now this region will be under whom? Will be under the control of League of Nations. After the expiry of the period, the fate of Saar Valley would be decided by a plebiscite. Plebiscite means a voting. In the meantime, France would use its coal mines. So, for 15 years, what will happen? For 15 years, this region, the Saar region, the coal district will be under whom? It will be under the League of Nations. And after the expiry of 15 years, now this Saar region, the fate of the Saar region will be decided by voting, plebiscite. And by the time, the France will have control over the coal mines. On the Belgian front, Germany surrendered Eupen, Malmedy and Morisset to Belgium for the latter security. Again, on the Belgium front also, towards the border of Belgium also, Germany had to surrender many of the regions. For the sake of France's security, Germany's territory on the west bank of the Rhine was to be permanently demilitarized. Demilitarized, again, it means no one could occupy it. Okay, so this Rhineland, or let's say this region, R-H-I-N-A, Rhineland. So this region, okay, it will be demilitarized. Demilitarized means it will be under, or else let's say nobody will have control over this region. Okay, neither Germany, neither France, or neither any of the powers. So this territory, the Rhineland, will be demilitarized, that is, no one will have control over this region. Neither Germany nor France would build armed fortification in this area. Okay. On the eastern bank of the Rhine, 50-kilometer area were to be demilitarized by Germany. That is to say that the above two article, Rhineland of Germany, became a demilitarized zone, a buffer between France and Germany. It was hoped that French security would be ensured by those clauses. Okay, so again, this region, the this Rhineland, now as it became demilitarized, nobody could occupy this territory, nobody could have control on this territory, neither Germany, neither France. After setting territory on the western front of Germany, the Versailles Treaty laid down that on the northern front of Germany, the following settlement would be made. So on the western front, these were the settlement. Northern front, now what was decided by this treaty towards the north of Germany. Okay, western part of Germany, we already did. now towards the north part of Germany, what will happen? The province of North Schleswig, with predominant Danish population, would be returned to Denmark for historical justice. Again, this from the northern part of Germany, this region, Schleswig, now which was predominated by the Danish, okay, the people of Denmark. So this region will be returned to Denmark. Okay, because Denmark, again, it was occupied during the war by Germany. The province of Holzbeck, with predominant German population, would be kept with Germany. And in the eastern part of Germany, the eastern frontier of Germany, it was not easy to draw the line because in Poland, German and Polish population were intermixed. But in the eastern frontier, it was very difficult. Okay, it was difficult to draw the line in the frontier of eastern part because Germany and the German and Polish population, they were intermixed. They were mixed up. They were intermixed. So it was very difficult, okay, to draw the line in this region, eastern part of Germany. Ultimately, it was decided that according to the 14 points, Poland would be an independent sovereign state. Again, in the 14 points program, okay, in the chapter when we did the first topic, the 14 points program, it was already written that Poland would be independent. The great injustice done to Poland was by the partition of Poland in the past would be now ratified by promoting Polish unity and nationalism. Okay, so before, injustice was done to Poland by partitioning Poland. And now what will happen? Ratify means this will be corrected by uniting Poland. Poland would be connected with Baltic Sea at the corridor running through German province of Prussia, East Prussia. The corridor would join with German port of Danzig on the Baltic Sea. Germany would hand over the port of Danzig to the League of Nations and would be a free city under Polish control. So in short, here Poland would be free from Germany. Okay? And Germany will also hand over the port of Danzig to the League of this Danzig, okay, which was occupied by Germany, this region of Poland. It will be handed over to the League of Nations and it will be free from the control of Germany. West Prussia and Posen were to be united with New Poland. Further, the province of Silesia of Germany was partitioned by plebiscite, and one part which is called the Sudeten, okay, so Sudeten land, the part, okay, which Germany had occupied, which was very rich in coal, iron and German manpower, was added to a new state called Czechoslovakia. So this region was taken from Germany and it was added to a new state which was Czechoslovakia. Another part comprising good number of German population was united with Poland. So half was united with, another portion was united with Poland. The remaining part was retained, which was kept back by Germany. And what was the result? Poland acquired a sufficient number of German population which caused problem in future. By the Versailles Treaty, apart from the above territorial clauses, military, economic and miscellaneous clauses were also imposed on Germany. Okay, there were military, economic and miscellaneous clauses. Militarily, Germany was disarmed. So Germany was totally disarmed and demilitarized, that is, nobody could occupy certain territories. She could only keep 1 lakh forces to keep law and order. Germany's armed navy and air force was disbanded and dissolved. Mass conscription, planning and compulsory military training in Germany was also banned because Germany was declared guilty of war and violating national laws. Germany's general staff would be dismissed and her navy would surrender to England. And Germany would not produce war materials and produce no air force submarines. That is, Germany was totally disarmed. So economically, Germany was declared guilty for starting a war. She was asked to pay reparation or war indemnity to, that is, war reparation, compensation to the victorious power for the damage caused to them during the war. So Germany had to pay reparation, which was not there in the 14 points program. The reparation commission fixed the amount payable by Germany was 6,000 million pound. 6,600 million pound. Till reparation was paid, the Allied troops would occupy the part of Rhineland. So Germany in short had to pay reparation or compensation to the other countries for the loss. And Germans' colony were liquidated and brought under the mandate of the League of Nations for better and enlightenment government. Her trading privileges outside Germany in Morocco, China, Africa were abrogated. That means totally abolished. She was not allowed to have trade with the other countries. Germany's main artery, the Rhine River, was internationalized and open to international navigation. The artery, the heart of Germany, which was Rhineland, it was opened and they could utilize this region. The Kiel Canal was demilitarized, nobody could use this territory, and it was neutralized. Among miscellaneous clauses, it was said that the deposed German Empire Kaiser, Kaiser, he was the emperor of Germany before. Kaiser William II was a war criminal. If he would be arrested, he would be tried and punished in international court. And German generals guilty were given orders violating international law would be punished. So the emperor of Germany would also be punished and he would be tried as a prisoner. And the League of Nations was to be ultimately set up to protect the status quo of the terms of this treaty. So the League of Nations was immediately set up. Why it was set up? To protect the terms of this treaty and just see that everything was followed peacefully. And to see that there would be no war in future. So I'll stop here. So today this is important, the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. I want you to go through this. This is the topic which we did today. It's quite lengthy. So just go through this terms of the treaty. Clear?